Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the third operating quarter, our town hall meeting for Moorings Park specifically. This is for the original campus. Now, I want to go back and revisit the difference between a town hall meeting and an open forum. Open forum occurs every month with the exception of when it lands on a town hall meeting. Open forums tend to be more granular in nature. They tend to be a bit shorter. Today's meeting, however, is much more global. It involves more speakers, and those speakers tend to be the owners of programs. So we're going to see our senior leadership today speak on a number of topics. We've got a substantial lineup today. I just wanted to run down with you. First and foremost, after I make my initial remarks, Randy Powell, our Executive Director of Facilities, will talk about capital projects here on the original campus. He's got quite a bit to update residents on, and also some of the things that we'll be facing in the future. Tom Mann, our Vice President of Sales and Marketing, has some interesting information, some exciting information for you on occupancy. And even though that this particular meeting focuses on the original campus, it's great that we're going to have Tom provide us with the latest on all three campuses, both Gray Oaks and also Grand Lake, to join the original campus. Diana Bailey will follow. Diana is going to talk about, and you probably guessed it, COVID-19. Diana will tend to focus more on the healthcare aspects of COVID-19 and where we stand right now. I recognize there's been a lot of literature that's come out recently in updates. However, she'll give you the absolute latest based on the date and the time of this filming. She's also going to talk to you about flu shots, and then she is going to make a special introduction. Celeste Lynch, our own Associate Executive Director for the original campus, will be here to talk to you about general operations. Celeste will also be introducing to you, not in person, but describing a new position here on the campus, and then also a couple of people that she's recently filled into open spots. And then finally, Tony Marks. Tony Marks is our Chief Information Officer. Tony will be at the end of the lineup, but he's got some very important information to talk about Hotwire. You know, we've talked about Hotwire on a number of occasions recently at Open Forum. We are the last community of the three to get set up with this brand new system. It's much more comprehensive, a lot more work to be done on this campus. We are on track right now, but there's still a lot of work to do before we actually complete this project, which is still anticipated to be the very end of the calendar year or early in January of 2021. So that's who is going to be speaking today. I hope you enjoy this informative session. I know that each of these leaders has quite a bit of information to provide to you. I did want to share with you that our next open forum, the open forum will occur on Friday, October 23rd. We'll film that at 11 o'clock. We really don't know what the opening of Phase 3 by Governor DeSantis will look like from a date and a time perspective. So therefore, there's always a chance that we could resume some in-person type meetings. But we're going to go ahead and continue to anticipate that this will be done as a virtual meeting. And then Tuesday, the 27th of October, this will be no surprise to residents who have lived here on the campus for at least 2 years. And that is, every year, the Chief Financial Officer provides a fairly detailed budget presentation, a breakdown, and talks about annual cost of living adjustments and all of those components that feed into that formula. Once again, if you miss a meeting or your neighbor misses a meeting and you want to capture that information, simply go to the neighborhood website. If you want to look at the video, you can go ahead and click on Management and Management Presentations. If you'd like to see the slides, just go into the Executive Corner. I again hope that you enjoy the presentation today, and we'll go ahead and start off with Randy Powell. Randy?
Well, thank you, Ross, and good afternoon, good morning to everyone whenever you're viewing this. As you can see, it's Spirit Week, Alma Mater Day, and how about that Army team? We started the season 2-0. We did play a couple of cupcakes, but we got wins out of it, so it's looking good for the Army team. So a while back, I introduced the 3 Ps, and I'm not going to repeat the 3 Ps, but in my research on COVID and some items for facilities, I came up with the 3 Ws. So I want to review the 3 Ws with you. That's wear a mask, wait so you can maintain social distancing, and then finally wash your hands, use hand sanitizer. Let's keep everyone safe. So been a busy time in front of really the clubhouse, a lot of projects going on there. A couple of them that we've just recently wrapped up is the Veterans Memorial, and we got to welcome an alumni of West Point, General Eisenhower himself. So a beautiful project that's just nearing completion. We do have a few items left on that, which is placement of the branch plaques for each branch of the service, as well as donor plaques, which should be done early October, completed with that project. Also, in that same vicinity was the OT South project, where we renovated the front of OT entrance, that southern entrance. If you recall, there was that long covered walkway that had seen a lot of wear and tear over the years, so we removed that and put down some very beautiful landscaping. That's come out nicely. A few punch items left on that, fixing some of the incorrect pavement in the front, but that will be wrapping up here shortly. Next up is the selection studio. So for many of you residents may remember, you picked your design selections for your unit on the north end of CHL, kind of a small space, not any natural lighting in that. So we came up with the concept to use some of the storage lockers that were in CHL and build a nice selection studio, which allowed natural light as you pick your design selections. That is pretty much complete. We have a few items left. We're waiting on the appliances, and we've been seeing a lot of delays now with appliances across the board. But by and large, it's in use. We've had a number of design appointments in there now. It's a very beautiful space, as well as updating a lot of the selections available. Please feel free to stop by and see the space. I would only ask that as you come to the front door, if you see new residents in there meeting with Barbara or Ann, our design selection specialist, that you do not enter at that time and let them complete their appointment. But if there's no one in there, stop by, see the space. It's very welcoming and a very nice addition to the campus and our program. Orchid House. We are now in the design phase for a new Orchid House. The current Orchid House has some aging components to it. A lot of the wooden members are starting to decay, and it's come time to replace a lot of that. So we're pretty much done with the design phase, and we'll be looking to start construction in October. OP&Q, it's time to paint OP&Q. It's nearing 7 years of life, so we'll be painting that starting in October. The proposals are out for a request for proposals and costing on that, and then we'll award that contract and start in October. Along with the painting, we're going to replace all the exterior signage on OP&Q at this time, as much of that signage has failed over the years. Also, a project coming up is the second phase and last phase of upgrading our street lighting throughout the campus, and that's really the loop around the Chateau. And within the interior complex of Chateau, there's still a lot of the old yellow lights, if you remember those from the front entrance. So those will be getting replaced, and that's a fourth quarter project that we'll be looking to wrap up. And then finally in fourth quarter, mill and pave, really from the stop sign that's to the southeast corner of Bauer down to the turnaround down by J Building. So that will involve milling off about the top 1.5 inches of pavement and laying down a new surface on that roadway. The section that won't be done, obviously, is that right in front of our building, which was done during construction of our building. I did receive one question via email, and that's about the back gate. Starting tomorrow, so that would be Thursday, we will open the back gate to exit traffic only. So the exit side of the back gate will open, will respond to your transponder, but coming back in that gate will still be closed to access. And with that, I will be followed by Tom Mann, our Director of Sales.
Thank you, Randy. And hello, everyone. Excited to be here. So I'd like to start off with an update here. And one of the things I'm really excited about is for the first time in a long time, we have just a lot of inventory that's available, that's really upgraded and exciting to go to market with. Last month, we had a very good sales month here. We had 9 sales. And this month, we're also looking at some very strong sales as well. Now, I'm going to talk about the other communities as well because the Moorings Park family, as you can imagine, is integrated. And referrals are one of the key parts of our business. I will tell you, over 60% of our sales come from referrals. And so one of the first things I should say is here at this campus and also at Grand Lake where we have some availability, we appreciate any referrals that you can bring to our team. Gray Oaks remains pretty much full. We have one available residence, H502, and actually I found out last night it looks like that one will be reserved at least for 8 months while someone's residence is prepared for at Grand Lake. So we're going to have Gray Oaks 100% full pretty soon here. And then Grand Lake, our current inventory is 71% reserved. And including within that inventory, several of the floor plans are sold out. And so we have made the decision to move forward with the next building, Key Bay, so that we can do a couple things. One is, again, there were some popular floor plans that we wanted to be able to offer. We needed some more selling inventory, quite frankly, with the selling season upon us. As folks come back from the north, we needed some inventory. And also the ability to keep the project and the construction team that's there rolling without, stopping and needing to restage. So we thought it was a good decision to move forward. I should say that one of the key selling benefits for our team is that Moorings Park has actually the highest financial rating out of any not-for-profit senior living organization in the country. We're the only one with an A+ rating by Fitch and Standard & Poor's. And so the decision to move forward with new inventory is always made very conservatively, only when we need additional inventory. So we're excited to be there, excited that the sales are going well, and so we're going to push forward with that next building. But again, I should go back to this for 1 second. We actually had the Gray Oaks residents out for tours of Grand Lake so that as they're referring their friends, they know what they're talking about and they're able to make strong referrals. And so I would say again, if you have friends who are interested in Grand Lake, just let the sales team know. And also if you have friends interested in the towers, certainly we want to speak to them. And then I just wanted to provide you with an update on some of the innovations we've made. You know, the pandemic early on in the season certainly impacted sales, but we used that time to really build the skill set of the marketing and sales team. We created a new position, an information specialist, who now handles all of the incoming leads and then redistributes them to the appropriate community. As you can imagine, with 3 communities all very close to each other, there's some market confusion about which community should I be interested in. And this person, the information specialist, Rachel Braun, helps determine what's the appropriate fit for that person. We also have tightened up our use of the CRM, the database we use to collect all of the prospect information, and also it's the database that all of our reporting comes out of. And so we've tightened that up as well. And so with that, I will now hand it off to Diane Bell. Diana Bailey?
Well, good afternoon, everybody. I hope everybody's staying well and taking precautions through this time. I just want to give you a little bit of an update on the healthcare arena. As of the 14th of September, we have now completed 4,116 COVID tests throughout the community. And our positivity rate on our community is 1.8%. Which is phenomenal compared to national, local, and state averages. So I applaud everybody. We've done a phenomenal job through this time. Just a little bit of information with regard to the tests that we utilize and some new machines that we've recently received. We utilize 2 labs. We use Curative Lab and Genesis Lab. And those are tests that we have to send out, and it takes 2 to 4 days to return the lab testings. But we also recently received this cute little machine. It's a handheld 15-minute COVID test. While the rating is not as high as we would like, it still allows us to do a quick test on somebody and then follow through with the Genesis or curative test. But today we received our Abbott Laboratories test, and this is a brand new technology that just came out. It's much more reasonably priced, and the percentage of confidence is much better than the smaller test here. So we were very excited to receive that today. So if, for independent living, if you have a doctor's order and a need to be tested, we do have that capability. So if that does happen, if you start to show signs and symptoms and your doctor would like to have a test performed, please call healthcare, call Cass, Hubbard, myself, or Celeste, and we'll accommodate you. So overall, the outcomes have been excellent. And I truly, within the healthcare areas, we had a fun little fact take place earlier this week. In the past, we always told you that we had 1 positive case at the chateau. Well, we didn't agree with that. We tested her. She turned out positive, so sent her to the hospital, ended up having 2 negative tests. Then we wanted to triple check, so we did an antibody test, and she came back negative. So it was a false positive. So at this point in time, we have not had any cases within healthcare areas. So we're very excited with regard to residents. So we truly do attribute this to the implementation of the N95s that we put into place early on. And we believe that the precautions have really made a big difference. And also another fun fact, due to COVID, since March, we've had 112 regulatory changes within the healthcare areas. So as you can imagine, we have been running like crazy. But we're keeping up with all the regulation changes and doing what we need to do. But on to a different topic. flu season. So we are going to be providing you with a partnership through Gulf Shore Apothecary, a drive-through flu shot clinic. It will be a time-based, you'll have some paperwork to fill out ahead of time, and we'll have you drive through the front of the chateau, give us your paperwork, get your flu shot, and drive on. So we'll be contacting you, if you're interested, you need to contact the chateau, and we'll schedule you a time. We have the dates now. September 30th, we'll be providing services on the original campus. October 7th will be Gray Oaks, and October 8th will be Grand Lake. And just keep in mind, too, if you are a clinic member, they also do provide flu shots. So if you're interested to go to the clinic. Now, one other area of a recent change with regard to regulations, with regard to the healthcare areas. We understand and we are so compassionately involved with the families and understand how hard this has been with not being able to have visitation. The governor has opened up visitation, but with some severe restrictions. If we have any cases whatsoever, we are required to close down for a 14-day period until we're completely clear of any new cases. I just want to ask you to have some understanding that this is a requirement for us. We're doing everything we can to keep this bug out of the staff population as well as the resident population. But as you all know, this bug is still out there, and we're still contending with it. We were able to open up for 4 days at the chateau and ended up having to close down. And the same thing has happened with the other programs as well. So just be understanding, and we're doing our best to open up as soon as we can. And last but not least, I would like to introduce our new Johns Hopkins Fellow, Dr. Andre Davies. He's our second Johns Hopkins Fellow, and he'll be with us here at Mornings Park until the end of January. And he'll be working with the clinic and the healthcare areas. So I've asked him to come and join us and give a little presentation about his background and what his plans are.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much. My name is Andre Davies, and I'm really happy to be here. I'm really excited. Just a little background about me. I'm a Florida native. I grew up on the East Coast. My parents live in Parkland, Florida. I went to high school in Boca Raton, so I'm very excited to finally be back here in Florida. I did my undergrad training up at Harvard. I studied chemistry there. Afterwards, I went to Chicago, where I studied medical school at the University of Chicago. And then I went into the internal medicine program at the University of Chicago, and I finished my training there. And then eventually I went to Johns Hopkins to study geriatrics, because that's my passion and the population that I most want to work with. And I'm happy to now be here finishing up my fellowship with a focus on developing leadership skills and further training with working with the population. Here, I am very excited. I've been working with Dr. Contreras for the last month in the clinic here at the Center for Healthy Living, and that's been a real delight and learning experience. And if I've met some of you, hello again. And if I haven't, I'm sure I'll meet some of you more through my time here. And then I've had the absolute pleasure of working in the Chateau as well. So I look forward to working with Diana Bailey and the staff at the Chateau on some upcoming projects. Some of those involve things like looking at, antibiotic management in patients and infection control, kind of assessing some general practices here at Mornings Park, and implementing some educational opportunities for residents and staff and everybody here in the team. So I'm really happy to be here, and please, if you see me around, stop and introduce yourself, and let's have a little chat. Very good to meet you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm happy to be here today and joined by my esteemed colleagues. I want to especially thank Diana Bailey. I'm just amazed when I hear 112 different regulatory changes. Her guidance has been wonderful over these past several months, and we are all very appreciative to her. So the good news that I have to share today is that our Director of Ministry, Reverend Emilio Chaviano, did begin his employment this past Monday, September the 14th. Some of you had the opportunity to meet him last Friday at the chapel concerts that we had. Emilio is thrilled to be here. He is actually staying here on campus in the guest suite for a time being while he finds a home here in this area. We are thrilled to have him, and he'll be involved in his orientation for the next several weeks. But he's working very hard at hitting the ground running. His email address is his first initial and his last name at mooringspark.org. And I've listed his cell phone number so that you can reach him if you'd like to set up an appointment and meet with him. His office will be in the Bower Chapel, and we're excited to also announce to you that we will begin Sunday services on Sunday, October 4th in the chapel. Those services will still have to be limited to 20 participants, but you will see more information coming out about that this week and how you can RSVP to attend that service. Up until that point, we will continue with the video streaming of our Sunday service. As Diana mentioned, Orchid Terrace has been part of this new visitation protocol. And unfortunately, when we first started this, the Chateau and Oakstone over at Moorings Park at Gray Oaks were able to open up their visitation. But at Orchid Terrace, we were not, because we did have a staff member who had tested positive. Well, the 14 days has been up for that, and we are now, as of this past Monday, open for visitation for family by appointment only. So far, I've checked in daily with our team at Orchid Terrace, and as you can imagine, the visits are going wonderfully. We're averaging approximately 4 visits per day. The visits do have to be supervised to a degree. They have to be scheduled. Someone is not sitting there watching and being a part of the visit, but we're just checking in to make sure that our visitors are following the 6 feet social distancing protocol, hand washing protocols, and wearing their N95 mask. For those family members who are out of town, we still are continuing the FaceTiming and the different meetings via live streaming so that their family members and residents can continue to have that one-on-one interaction until they can get here to Florida and visit. I think you all know this familiar face, and I am thrilled to announce that I have another wonderful new team member, Kim Golfy. Many of you know Kim very well. She's been an employee with Moorings Park and also with Unidyne for about 14 years. She was the billing specialist and event coordinator working with Unidyne for our dining department. She has now joined my team under operations, and she is the move-in coordinator for the original campus. She also has hit the ground running. She's thrilled to be back as a Moorings Park employee and someone that is just, motivated to learn a new role. And I think she'll be really a great addition to our team. Kim's responsibilities will be liaison to the new residents, of course. She will provide them with orientation and support throughout their move-in process and as they get acclimated to the campus. She will also provide instruction to them on the Resi system, Works Hub system, the neighborhood website, and Informacast. And she will update the parking boss information. So parking decals will be now coming through Kim to new residents, and she will assign parking spaces as well. She will be involved in the Gift a Day program, which is a program many of our leaders are involved with. So when a new resident moves in, we go and meet them and bring them a gift. She will initiate that program. And then she will also be handling satisfaction about 45 days after that move takes place. She'll be following up with those residents and making sure that the transition was a smooth one and gaining wonderful feedback to help us improve our process as we move along. Ross and I had an opportunity to meet with the Health and Wellness Committee and also the Resident Council recently to propose a revision to our pet policy. What we are proposing is that buildings B, C, D, E, F, and J become dog-friendly buildings. The process has been thought out, and the way we are proposing this happen is that every resident who resides in those buildings will be asked to complete a pet-friendly acknowledgement form. That form will have 2 questions on it. It will ask whether they support the building becoming pet-friendly or whether they object to it becoming pet or dog-friendly. The buildings will not become dog-friendly until there is no one else living in those buildings who object to it. So we feel this is a way that we can gradually transition to having more availability in our buildings for residents who really want to bring their pets. I'm sure Tom Mann can tell you and our sales team that they're hearing more and more from prospective residents that they will not move in to any location unless they can bring their beloved pet, who is really a family member. So we are looking at this as a way to not strong arm anyone, but gradually introduce this through an attrition process. So those of you that live in those buildings will be hearing from me shortly. And if you have any questions, you can certainly call me at any time. Hotwire, as Ross mentioned earlier, we're working a lot on the process of getting things up and running here on the original campus. I would like to remind all of you, if you have not made your phone consultation with Hotwire, please do so as soon as possible. It is imperative that you make that call. I have the number listed here on the slide, so that Hotwire knows how many televisions you have, how many telephones you have, etc. This will help the installation process go much smoother. If you haven't given us a call, we will be in touch with you. And this is really for anyone. Even if you're watching and you're up north right now, we need you to make that call, please, as soon as possible. The reason for that is because in October, we're actually planning to get started with the installation. I know Tony is going to provide some more information about that, but we really cannot move ahead unless we have this information from you. October 5th is the day we get started, and you'll be also, actually today I posted to the neighborhood website, and there is information at each concierge desk at the clubhouse and the CHL, the information regarding phase 1 of the installation process. So to be clear, not all buildings are on that phase 1 yet. We are starting at the north end of campus and working our way down. More information will come out when we get to the other buildings, but please review that memo at your earliest convenience. And now I will turn it over to Tony Marks, our Chief Information Officer. Thank you.
Excuse me, I have some eyeglass technical difficulties, it appears. Good afternoon. Thank you very much, Celeste, for introducing me. I'm here today to give you kind of a brief technical overview of what's happening with regards to the hot wire installation here on the original campus. As Celeste mentioned, the first thing I want to bring up is please make the call to schedule your appointment. That is so critical for the rest of the schedule, where if we're not able to have that lined up, all the other items that we're trying to put in place will be difficult. But Hotwire, what I've included here is our high-level project plan. And Hotwire is currently in the process of installing the infrastructure around campus. So they're putting fiber optic lines in the ground all around the exterior of campus. They've already completed all the fiber into all the buildings. So you may have seen them in hallways or outside your building, pulling cable to just outside your home, or maybe they actually did come inside. So as was mentioned, we are on schedule, and I'll have a little bit more of information, though I think Celeste kind of took one of my big points here. So the first resident service will begin installation on October 5th of 2020. That is, as Celeste mentioned, we plan on starting on the north end of campus and moving south. So once we begin, a question that was brought up is how many per day can Hotwire do? So at this time, Hotwire will have the capacity, they'll have the number of engineers on our campus available to do 15 homes per day. That's why when I'm talking about making those phone calls and getting that schedule, so that we can fill up that schedule and have at least the 15 a day to do. We wouldn't want to have breaks in that where they're only able to do 10, because that will extend the entire installation. And I think Ross mentioned this as well a little earlier. The current schedule will have all of original campus done the end of December, very early in January of 2021. We are working very hard to really meet that schedule because a lot of the feedback that I've gotten is that you are all looking forward to getting off of our direct TV, so that when it's raining, you can actually watch TV, and the phone system will also be a lot more reliable. And the last point I want to make is I've gotten questions about who am I going to call if I have a telephone issue or my Wi-Fi issue. So in order to streamline the speed at which you're able to get service, you will be contacting Hotwire directly, so that immediately on the phone, they will be able to do some immediate troubleshooting and to try to resolve your issue as quickly as possible. So that information will be in the package you get, but I kind of just wanted to give you a heads up that in order to expedite your service, that's who you'll be contacting directly for any telephone, internet, or Wi-Fi issues. And with that, I'm going to turn the microphone back over to Ross.
Thank you, Tony, and my fellow colleagues. I appreciate the information. Very comprehensive. I'm sure our residents will enjoy this as soon as they have a chance to view it. I'm going to just hit a couple of what I call details at the very end of this particular presentation. This would be normally the time when we would have a Q&A session. So even though some residents did send in a few questions, I think that those were addressed. If they weren't, please come by the operations office and we'll be happy to go into further detail. Once again, I want to extend a very warm welcome to Dr. Davies. It's an absolute pleasure to have him here. And I have to say, Dr. Davies, your educational credentials are something that people dream of. So my hat is off to you, and I have to honestly tell you, it's an honor and a privilege to have you here with Moorings Park. And the feeling is the same for Emilio, our new Director of Chaplaincy. If you haven't had a chance to meet him yet, he's a really special person. I think he's going to bring a lot to this organization. And his life experiences will certainly help him do that. I just want to take a moment and talk a little bit about where we're at. It's hard to believe that it's been 6 months now that we have been living our lives here at Moorings Park, or for the partners going home and coming back to work in a self-isolation type concept. But I am pleased, as I'm sure everyone else is that the state of Florida, as is most of the United States, starting to see a solid decline in positivity rate of COVID cases. There's no question that is wonderful news, but it also brings on a fear factor. And that fear factor is that we get complacent with precautionary measures, and we potentially invite that virus back in again. We have not eradicated this. A vaccine is not out there yet. There is lots of miles to go, but there's no question we're in a better place today than we were 6 months ago, and we're in a far better place today than we were 3 months ago. The last town hall meeting was in June. In June, the state of Florida hit some record numbers on deaths and positivity rates. They were actually quite frightening. We're better off today, and I think that Diana was 100% correct. The compliance and the discipline associated with following those fundamental practices has paid big dividends. If you had an opportunity to look at the Florida Department of Health website, if you do get on there, you'll note that in this zip code right here that the numbers are incredibly low, and that's because I think people have complied. They have been very strict with that, and that includes our partners as well. So well done to everybody on that, but let's just make sure that we don't get ahead of ourselves and we stop some of these fundamental practices. Secondly, you'll notice that we do not have a representative from dining here today. And the reason behind that is because in the open forum last month, Richard gave a very comprehensive review of dining operations at the original campus. But I also know that with update number 59 that was distributed last evening, there was a special paragraph dedicated to reservations and the whole concept of dining here on the original campus. First, the good news. We just completed the quarterly business review with Unidyne, and the executives flew down from Boston, and I'm pleased to report, and this credit goes to our Unidyne staff, that their record of accomplishment on a score of 1 to 10, and all we're interested in is 9s and 10s. And so that's a tall order. So 91% of all of the feedback we've received since January until today has been 91% 9s and 10s. So exceptional equals 91%. I think that's pretty impressive considering that for a large amount of that time, the vast period of time there was devoted to meals to go. Delivering meals to people's homes, putting it in plastic containers. I think that the dining team has done an exceptional job. That's not to say that we don't have room for growth. It's not to say that sometimes menus can drag on, and we have to be very conscious of that, and we have to offer change because it's been difficult for everyone to live in their homes and have very little freedom to go out, and the slightest change brings some happiness. So we have work to do, but if Richard watches this and his entire team, I want them to know how proud we are of them and the great accomplishments they've come to. We're still taking temperatures, body temperatures, at the main entrances of our campuses. We're not going to stop doing that until we get a better sense from the government that operates Florida, specifically Mr. DeSantis. His name's been tossed around a few times here in this presentation today. But we are going to go ahead and keep taking temperatures, but we've reduced the number of questions we're asking now. The Center for Disease Control no longer feels it's necessary for us to ask people who have had recent travel, both in continental United States and abroad. So we've dropped that particular question. Here again, just one more indicator that we're heading in the right direction. Last. It's often been said that the true sign of quality leadership is not about how things go when everything's running smooth. It's how things go when they aren't running smooth. And what you listened to today, I think, is validation of the great accomplishments and why Moorings Park is truly special. It's because when the chips were down, and continue to be, but to a lesser degree right now, we have some incredible talented people. We have had a very low number of cases, both with our partners and also with our residents, and we're going to continue to manage that. We continue to manage through huge capital projects that are so critical to this organization continuing to grow. One of those is the implementation of Hotwire. I don't think there's a person on this team that has probably embraced more challenging discussions than Tony Marks when it comes to the difficulty with telephone service and also with DirecTV. Things will get better. We're not too far away. Perfect? No. We will still have to figure out a few things. This has been a long time since this organization has embraced a new television system and also new telephone. But it's coming. Enough cannot be stated about the success of our healthcare team over at the Chateau, but also the great leadership that Diana has provided to our assisted living operations. Again, incredibly low numbers. And one of the most impressive things that's happened recently is Tom and his team on the sales that they're making. We're starting to see life again, both inside and outside the gates of our community. And I can't thank Celeste enough for the daily operation she's doing on this campus, both big and small. So with that, I hope that we see you at the next open forum. Soon, we probably will be able to hold open forums in the auditorium again, but I don't know the definition of soon. We will get the restaurants open to 75 and 100% at the earliest opportunity, but we're never going to jeopardize safety. So it may be in a stepped process, but we won't drag it out any longer than we absolutely have to. With that, be well and take care of yourself. Thank you.